regular meeting of June 8th, City of Cedar Spring, Florida. Would you all please rise with me and recite the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Note the cell phones, lines turn down to quiet.
To quiet.
We have a roll call. Mr. Clark. Here. Mrs. Conley.
Here.
Mr. Groves.
Here.
Mr. Hall is here. Mr. Huff.
Here.
Mrs. Nixon.
Here.
Mrs. Powell.
Here.
All present and counted. Moving on to item 3, public comments. The City Council welcomes and encourages the public to speak during the public comment of the public hearing portion of this agenda. However, Council's policy is to hear the public comment, not to act on the public comment at this time. Concerns brought before the Council during the public comment portion of this agenda will be referred to the City Manager for action. If after communication with the City Manager no resolution is reached, the concern will be elevated to the Mayor and then eventually to the City Council for action. Those citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the City Council meeting citizens are allowed to address the Council. Please state your name and address for the record. At this time, under 4 minutes, anybody got it?
This is not a concern, except you might be concerned I might talk only 4 minutes, but I promise I won't. I just wanted to tell you, your driver is hopping. I think I counted 28 school groups that have come through. We had all 9 of the third grade classes. CTA has come and with their kindergarten through 5th grade, and Michael and Mr. Womack and I tried to go over and do something for the 6th and 12th grade, and they were there the power outage, and so we couldn't do that. Anyway, we are seeing record numbers. We're averaging between 200 and 275 every day, and in the first couple of weeks we discussed these new library cards. I just need to go back and see what I did for the whole year last year, but we are talking everything. We've already signed up 422 people for the summer reading program, and it doesn't start till Monday. So it's really, really going great. We're so excited. I'm seeing so many people I've never seen before, people that are just coming back, coming home, or have moved in because they had a family friend. We're so happy that they've moved in here. The library is right there, and we're open on Thursdays. People are all excited about that. So we love being there, and people are just loving what we're doing with it. And thank you. There's a book sale coming up on Monday. There's a petting zoo. We're going to have a whole bunch of things out like a tree of the historic well. Yep, so we'll have ice cream, the petting barn, the fire and rescue squad, and the fire truck, yes, and our sheep. Why is he coming? Let's get him talk about that. Don't make that face. Oh, and Ronnie McDonald's coming between 2 and 4. So they'll have all that outside, and we have registry and pre-registry for book sale and sign-ups for library programs. So come, there's something for everyone from 0 to 120. If you can't read, or you can't read because you can't see, or you have false teeth, just have somebody read to you and it counts, or you can listen to audiobooks. Everything counts. Get ready to go.
We have some vacant or empty or shelves in the newer library. There's projected of filling them up.
We have 400 more shelves in the new library than we did in the old one, so some of them are blank.
Yeah.
So if you have any ideas to help fill them up, I'm all ears. You can talk to me.
Do you have a list?
My pleasure.
Do you have a list of books that you would like that people could donate?
We haven't had time for that yet.
Okay, it's fine. Just if you did, I would say we would put it on our YouTube and tell people There will
I like that.
be located in such and such place.
Okay, let's do that, or maybe you can do that with us.
Sure.
If there's a book you want to donate, you can go onto our website and go into Lakeland and say, oh, the Cedar Springs Library doesn't have that, they should have that,
Okay.
and you can do it that way.
Okay. Thank you. Any other person wishing to address the council at this time? Hearing and seeing none, moving on to item 4, public hearing. Mr. Womack, I believe we have none?
Not today.
Not today. Moving on to item 5, adoption of the agenda. We have a revised agenda. We will add item G to the consent agenda, which would allow Christmas in July sidewalk sales, and I believe that's a chamber comment.
Yes,
Right?
sorry, Mr. Mayor, I added this, the chamber would like to expand from the sidewalks additionally to the corner of Ash Street and Main Street, which is a vacant lot. Of course, I can't tell the landowner they have to do this, so they have to seek permission to do that. But
Well, if I may on that, she's given us a blanket to use that for all of our events. And I have to go back through the previous ones, I'll stop down and get it from her so I can get a hold of her again, but usually anytime they go and ask you for it, she's always, why do you keep asking me? I told you to use it. But every time we get a city manager, it's a formality, we have to go back and do it. So we will.
I just don't want anyone to think that the city is confiscating land for our purposes.
Absolutely.
We also did add a couple other things. 8N, resolution to approve consumers energy authorization for standard lighting contract. That's Prairie Run. They're installing their lights. We're taking on the obligation instead of continuing the electricity. And what I understand, we paid for that through the increased property taxes at the beginning. We also added 8O, motion to remove Sarah Hendricks from the planning commission. She moved out of the district. I did ask for a letter of resignation. She was failed September 1.
Thank you. Any other additions or subtractions? I did entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Who supported that? Been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Grove.
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins.
Yes.
Mr. Nixon.
Yes.
Ms. Powell.
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes, motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. Mr. Womack, you care to speak to this?
Most of these are routine. We do have the museum summer car show. I wasn't around last year, but I understand that this is a regular event or has been held in the past. Some link with the receivables, link with utility bills, and the modification of the Christmas July sidewalk bill.
I'd entertain your motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Any discussion now? No further discussion. Roll call vote. Ms. Powell.
Yes.
Mrs. Nixon.
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins.
Yes.
Mr. Grove.
Yes.
Ms. Conlon.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes. Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to item 7, discussion items. Item A. Mr. Womack.
We held a meeting with the Downtown Development Authority recently. We discussed the, sticker boards, for lack of a better word, that we had at the community action night and opening of the library. And we were able to see what the public thought was important or not. And based on those stickers and those votes, I guess you can call them, the DDA is making a recommendation that this board, this council, reallocate the funds that were set aside for the themed banners that go up on the lights, and reallocate those towards crosswalk signs in the downtown area. They felt that crosswalk signs were more important and more safety related. Also in light of the fact that the curb bump outs that we discussed last time were going to cost approximately $35,000 each, they thought that crosswalk signs would be a cheaper alternative. I did present you starting on page 28 or so of your packet. The information regarding what we're talking about, what it will probably look like. And I think 2 signs cost approximately $200 to install. I didn't know if this board would like to discuss where the signs might go. I think the DDA was under the impression we could put them up at every intersection. I think maybe the busiest 2 intersections to start, and we go from there. And the busiest being the one immediately north of City Hall and also at the brewery. Yeah.
I feel like that's the specifics is something that probably city management would do, and probably DPW should. You all have more information on what's there than next time. I feel like you all are more knowledgeable and capable.
Well, I appreciate that.
Probably.
We always like to hear from council.
I understand, and I appreciate you bringing it to me. I'm just saying, I feel like y'all probably got it.
We've got to get, we're asking the city council to change what money is.
I see. So it's not about where the signs go. I thought you were saying like you wanted to pick intersections, and I'm like,
It's also because we put $5,000 in the budget to be saved, in addition to $5,000 next year to replace the banners.
sure.
And because the banners were so very unpopular with the sticker events, that
Right.
we reallocate the money.
Yeah. Well, no, I saw that part of it. I guess I was just not fully understanding what we were being asked to do.
Okay.
That was, but yes, thank you. Yeah.
Ms. Smith.
I am okay with reallocating the money, but I would also ask you to take a look at, in the middle of our transition to you being our city manager, we had discussed some signs that would go essentially on the center line. And I wish I could somehow transition this to your screen up there, but I just Googled them. And I found one that says state law yield for pedestrians within a crosswalk. It's on a platform, and those cost, if you buy just one, it's $213.85. And obviously buying more, you get a little bit of a discount. And
Are these the kind that would be stuck in the middle of the road?
yes,
Yeah, we've talked about that, and that's still a possibility. The concern with those is if they're hit by a car, somebody has to run out the street, pick it up, put it back into place, and I simply don't have the staff to do that.
okay.
It's certainly a good idea, and it's something we could get about possibly doing for days where people would cross the street, like fairs, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That plan.
So we can certainly look into that. But for the time being, I'm talking about the ones that would be on each side pointing, this is where people cross the street.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Ms. Clark, is there an amount that is being recommended or thought through on this out of the 5,000?
Well, 5,000's been allocated to the banners, and the estimate is about $200 per 2 signs, so $200 per intersection.
Okay.
And if we start with just 2 intersections, we're talking less than $500.
No. Yeah.
And we could, of course, keep the rest of the money intact for the banners if we wanted, or, eventually do
See
it.
how it goes and do more intersections.
Mr. Tom, do you have any input? I was just going to suggest that maybe we have manpower, spend more money keeping those crosswalks painted very clearly. I know that's a big problem, but sometimes our lines just disappear. Winter, we know, but
Sure, the crosswalks are scheduled to be repainted.
And that's,
once a year adequate? to really have them visible,
You may have to.
I'd like to have a suggestion that maybe, take some of that money for.
I think part of the issue is, I could be wrong, but I think part of the issue with the painting is they fade during the winter. You can't really paint them during the winter. So if you
Right,
paint them in the spring, they're fine until fall.
Putting the snow on the ground and everything.
And then when the snow comes,
Yeah.
is when they kind of get destroyed. So painting them, like, I mean, I feel like they're okay through the summer. I could be
Well,
wrong.
let's keep an eye on it.
Mr. Rhodes.
As long as we're discussing it farther than the point of where the location's at, I'd like to suggest, if not now, for a later conversation, the elimination of the parking spaces closest to those intersections gives you a more clear vision for those people who are crossing and the people on the road to see the crossing locations. Not only that, it would assist in the people that are making turns at those locations, especially the one up by the brewery. It's very, very difficult to see around those corners to see oncoming traffic. And I just think what we would give up in parking spots, 4 parking spots, would be beneficial in safety.
I think, Mr. Lomax, if you would give us some numbers for next month's meeting, and I think we can decide whatever balance is left, we can spend on allocated to the banner. I guess we're better, otherwise, what all, you can.
I was just gonna address that when you talked about the vision sight at some of the corners. Part of it is people park properly. They park up in the yellow spot where it's supposed to be for no parking, back when we all took driver's ed, we were yellow line that don't park here. And you see a fire hydrant, it means don't park here. But I guess over time, people forget that, and they think they just park wherever. And so when they park up on the corners, you can't see unless your bunker's way out there, where'd that go?
Any other discussion on the discussion items?
Mr. Mayor, under A, subpart B, radar speed signs,
Yes, I see that.
that's something we're trying to look into before July 1st, to see if I can get 3 quotes for council. The idea being, there are signs that exist that operate on battery power and solar power, and I'd like to be able to purchase one sign that we might be able to move around on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis, to show people what their speed is. I think people just forget, what 25 miles per hour actually looks like. And I think it'd be a benefit to the city, but that can cost several $1,000s. So we're looking to see if we have any money left over in this year's budget prior to July 1st.
Thank you.
I would actually be in favor of 3 intersections, 1 on each end and 1 in the middle, just because we're attempting to become more walkable. We're trying to leverage the trail, and I feel that would be better too. So like, people are going to cross in the middle no matter what. I really hate to
That's
see
what
everybody.
I'm looking at now.
Yeah, well, 1 on each end and then 1 in the middle. So I'd be in favor of the 3 intersections up front.
We'll bring it back to us next month and we can act on that. What we would like to do, we're discussing. That sound good? And I think we were discussing it here.
Was it? Oh, I don't understand.
Well, he mentioned too, but
Okay.
in previous conversations before I came here. we
Okay,
talked.
well,
That's
all
why
right.
you didn't hear it.
Lots of discussion.
I'd be in favor of 3.
Okay, any other information, Mr. O'Mac, for discussion items or council members?
I'm ready for item B if you like.
Go right ahead.
Ms. Clark was approached by the state of Michigan Library Association of some sort regarding the grant period district revision. Apparently there are 16 individuals in Solon Township that lost their rights to use the grant area district library. So Ms. Clark asked me to look at revising our library services agreement with Solon Township to include those people. I did put some work into that. I redrafted our agreement. We're having a disagreement right now with Solon Township about actually passing that for some reason. So I wanted to put it in your packets that you guys saw what I did, and I guess we'll wait for Solon Township to act.
I think we should allow it to come no matter what, however this outcome is.
I agree, but
I know. Paperwork.
ditto. I mean, if they want to use our library and they're willing to, I should let them.
I had a chat with the librarian just before. Because I was confused about this as well. Because the Grant District Library is a part of the Lakeland Cooperative, they will just get their card from Cedar Springs Library, but probably most of their activity will still be with the Grant Library because they're part of Lakeland. So it doesn't mean more people come to our library, just because officially they'll be documented through Solon in our library so they can continue to function.
More of a
I think
community
there's relevant
service.
input from the
Yeah,
guy.
Something about that.
No.
I would like to hear it, Mr. Mayor.
Actually, years ago, when Grant decided they were going to make a district,
Yes.
they mistakenly drew in 16 people they should not have, or maybe they appropriated them more now, but anyway, now there are 16 people.
Yeah.
And when they discovered that, they decided that they should fix that. So when they fixed it, these people then were disenfranchised, no library services. So to be official, the Library of Michigan had then to come to us, because it had been, something had to be rectified, and say, these people are Solon Township. Solon Township contracts library services from you, with the two entities of you accept these people back officially, make it official. That's really all it is, it's a housekeeping detail. And we get their state aid and penal funds, it might be $28.
You know, I think it's more a community service than anything that we would gain out of it. I think it's just, why
No,
not?
well, they're coming home, and that's where they belong. They should have never gone over, they've been taken in over there. So now, they don't have the right to have any, they're in no man's land.
Right.
No library services, but they legally belong to Solon Township, and we it's just to say, yes, they
And
can come
you
home.
have to have a place. And if you're not Grant, then you have to be here, or you cannot get. For my time on library board, when we were having this discussion about Solon Township, when we were trying to create a district, you have to have a place where you have a library, or you can't use any of the libraries.
They had one, they were just
Yeah.
hired.
Right, I understand, but Grant has now
Okay.
said you're not part of us.
We're gonna move
So
on.
if Solon doesn't take them, they don't have a place.
Well, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
I think the point is we're ready, we're just waiting for the township.
Yep, we're gonna do it. I agree.
So wetland restoration, this is an ongoing project. I don't know how much you guys knew about this prior to my arrival. This is fully grant funded. There's going to be wetland restoration being done in North Park and in the heart of Cedar Springs areas.
This is the Cold Creek part, right?
This is
No,
the,
it's
Right,
where we
but
put up 2,000 to go towards the, grant.
Right, but isn't it about, is it the Cold Water Creek?
Full water cup.
Right,
The Rogue River watershed.
right. Okay.
Anyways, I'm fully in favor of it. I think it's going to be a great idea. We're just waiting for them to get some DEQ approvals and then come back to us saying they're ready, and we'll say, great, when can you start?
Who is the South Peak Environmental LCC? That just sounds like a fabulous thing that they're gonna come in and stock our wetlands and our rain garden, is that correct?
I think they're the company that would be doing the digging out of the ground to help create the wetlands.
They're not doing the rain gardens, they are just the wetland part. The wetland and the rain garden, two different things.
Right. So do they do any planting or just digging?
I don't know. That's why we're waiting for them to present a more cogent plan.
Josh Zane, or, how do you pronounce his
Yeah,
last name?
he's got a Z last name.
About that one. He's the one that'd be with the planning of that, because all that money came into that grant money that we got, was it last year?
Yeah, year and a half ago or something like that. And they're formulating it now. It's been approved, so now they gotta go through the steps, the DEQ for the wetlands restoration and hoops they have to jump through, move at the speed of the state government.
All right, Main Street reconstruction, you'll find a memo from the treasurer regarding this. This is similar to the Main Street Bridge money that was supposedly set aside. This is going to be the next project. It's going to cost about $1.3 million with a 40% match. We can't envision a way to pay for it just out of our normal funding, so I imagine we're going to have to bond for it. We should still, starting in next year's budget, put some money aside for it, because that's money we won't have to pay interest on. But I want to make sure that you guys were aware this was coming.
No. We've seen that bridge.
Okay.
Well, to be clear, this does not appear to me to be in relation to the bridge. Is it? Is this the bridge, or is this the whole mile of Main Street?
This is the whole mile of Main Street.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the bridge.
Two separate.
No, two separate things.
Okay.
Yeah, that's supposed to be 2020?
I believe so.
Somewhere in there.
Discussion? Yeah. I'm guessing yes.
Sometime the last bond was with people. Any other discussion on the discussion item portion of the agenda? Hearing none, moving on to item 8, action items. Item A, Mr. Womack.
All right. Now I'm going through the packet. It seems they're a little out of place. So I'm down on page 57 now. Amateur Radio Field Day Proclamation. As I've stated before, I'm not generally in favor of proclamations, but the Grand Rapids Amateur Radio Association is holding a community event at our staging area. They're a bunch of nice guys, and I think what they do is valuable. And I would ask that this body proclaim June 24th to June 25th to be Amateur Radio Field Day in the city of Cedar Springs.
Mr. Mayor, would you like a motion?
Yes.
I would make a motion to proclaim June, why am I not seeing the day?
June 24th.
24th and 25th?
It's
24th.
going to be, I think they're going from 2 p.m. on June 24th to 2 p.m. on June 25th.
So
Right, so I guess both days.
Yeah, June
to
24th.
proclaim June 24th and June 25th Amateur Radio Field Days.
I'll throw an S in there, I apologize.
I'm just clarifying as I make my motion.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item?
I think it's fun.
I've made a Facebook event, I'll have to share it to the cities, whatnot, so that we can move out too.
It's important that we understand that we lose our communication that these guys set up and, you know, somewhere paying our wireless or whatever went down. They set up and help set up and help us out.
And they really are good, respectful people.
Organization.
It's a really fun flavor of nerd. It's right up there on my list of flavors of nerd.
I have a roll call vote. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Nixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
All votes yes, motion carries. Item B. Mr. Womack, and I believe Ms. Falcon may speak to that.
Yep. Okay, so we're on page 59 of the packet now. Ms. Falcon, would you like to speak on this one?
Like I state many times, the budget is always a work in progress, can be amended at any meeting. And this is the final budget amendments for this fiscal year. June 30th is the end of our fiscal year. So it's according to the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act. The city at this time needs to amend the budget. If you choose not to, that's fine. We had a write-up in our audit. We had a write-up last year. I think we had 3 or 4 departments that went over budget.
You can be written up.
And I just need to write a letter to the state of Michigan explaining why. Did something happen unexpected at the last day, or, you know, and what we plan to do to make sure it doesn't happen again, so. Housekeeping thing.
Darla, did the auditors catch this mistake, or was that purely yours?
No, this is something I'm very familiar, you know, doing every year. The last council meeting. Yep. Mhm.
Not really a mistake.
Yeah, it's not a mistake. It's just routine procedure.
Budget adjustment.
Well, I'm glad you found it. And I'm also kind of concerned that our auditors didn't find it
even though we've been doing this, what, for 4 years?
Forever.
They haven't done this budget yet.
Well, putting the money aside.
Well, that was a
Oh,
different,
you're talking about the.
that was a different issue.
Yeah, that's something else.
That's
That
on
was,
down there.
that's a whole other color fish.
We're talking about, aren't we talking about critical bridge?
Well, just an
No.
No,
approval.
Budget amendments.
Yes.
Okay.
Budget amendment.
Any other questions of Mrs. Falcon? Before we,
Why did I approve last year's budget on some of those, couple of those items you found, or we didn't budget nearly enough money? How did we do
it
that?
wasn't her, it
That wasn't her.
was, she inherited.
Oh, I know, that's what I said, I said, why did I vote for it? I don't know.
We knew this was coming.
Well done. Oh,
But things happen during the year, you know,
That were unexpected.
that are unexpected or,
in the year before, we spent $10,000, and then the next year, we budget $2,000. There's gotta be some kind of.
This is it's like a maintenance ongoing.
Oh, I'm not worried about what we're doing now, we're doing good now. I'm just saying,
I get what you're saying.
we missed it.
We should have, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Mayor, I make a
Talk
motion
talk for him.
to
Thank you.
approve the June 2017 budget
Right?
amendments.
Second.
Second.
He's the teacher term.
Been moved and seconded on the motion for the 2017 budget amendment. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
yes,
Mrs. Nixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes, motion carried. Item C. Mr. Womack?
So the 471 library fund is, they're constructing a library building fund, and the building is now complete. I don't know how much money was left in there,
12,000 maybe?
$12,000 or so dollars. We're asking to move that into 271 fund, which is their daily operating fund. There is some question whether we have the authority to do that, or whether the library board has to do that. What I'd recommend is passing it as it is. We can send it to the library board and they can concur at that time.
Will the council?
I make the motion to close 471 library funds and move funds to the 271 library fund.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Question,
Yes, sir.
are we really sure that all expenses for the construction of the building have been satisfied?
The final bill has not been paid yet.
Okay.
No, the final bill hasn't been paid yet to the contractor Nugent. However, I think the purpose of this separate fund, 471, we have met that purpose. We can, when I transfer it to the 271 fund, if you so choose to close the 471 fund, it can be earmarked, you know, if the donation came in for a specific thing, I can work with Donna on, you know, reserving that for that specific thing. We will be paying, we might have the final bill paid before June 30th. We're meeting with Nugent next Wednesday. We do have a bill in our hands to be paid. So it could be the final bill.
That's fine, I just hate to get caught by surprise and find out we transferred some money that should have covered something
Oh.
else there. So,
Yeah.
If that's fine, we can transfer it. I have no problem with it.
Mhm.
Just wondering if the whole thing has been completed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Before I call the
Mr.
roll.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Sure.
So this is basically just consolidating the funds for the library?
Well, the purpose to have a fund is to, when it was created, to set the money aside to build a library.
Sure.
When the purpose has been met, it is standard procedure for the council to approve to close that fund. That's all I'm asking. Whatever money is left as of June 30 in the 471 fund will be transferred to the 270 fund and earmarked for whatever it was donated
And that fund
for.
is the regular.
Operating
people
fund. Yeah.
Donate to do one of it.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's just less paperwork.
Correct. And if anybody wants to donate to the library or whatever, it can come into the 271 fund,
Right.
be reserved for whatever, you know. When you don't have a budget for a fund, revenues coming in, expenses going out, you really should close it. So,
Thanks, guys.
Okay, I'll call a roll call vote. There's no further discussion. Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Groves,
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins,
Yes.
Ms. Nixon,
Yes.
Ms. Powell.
Yes.
Ms. Hall votes yes, motion carries. Item D, Mr. Romack.
So this is the Cedar Springs Public Library lease agreement. I put a significant amount of work into this with Mr. Owen and the library board. The library board, from what I understand, did pass a version of this, and they wanted us, I guess, to fix it. I'm not quite sure what happened at that meeting, but they wanted us to put an option to extend to the contract. So I did write that up. They also wanted to change the term for 5 years to 3 years. Not quite sure why they wanted to do that. It makes no sense to me, but after the do what they ask, so it doesn't interfere with our needs in the contract. So it's got some quirky bits to it, but I think it's good and fair to the city. And just 3 years from now, I guess we'll have to take another look at it unless they renew the option to extend.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
So,
Support. Do you want it read?
Well, before we go into discussion, I want a motion.
Right.
You know,
Did you want the language of the motion read?
Who seconded that?
I seconded, Perry said so moved, but I didn't know if Mr. Womack wanted the specific language of the motion read.
Mr. Hopkins, do you move as it is written or as presented?
yes.
Support. Second.
Open for discussion.
I have a
Call for the
question.
vote.
So, to make sure that I understand, we are not talking about our agreement with Solon. This is the library board referring to that specific building.
Correct. So the library board currently owns their own building. They want the city to take on that responsibility for a number of reasons.
Sure.
However, before they do that, they want us to lease the building to them.
We need to talk
And
about
that is what
Right.
this lease represents.
Okay.
The future, when we actually take acquisition of the building, we will be using this document to lease the building back to the library board.
Okay. I guess I'm just not sure why the term mattered. I mean, we're not gonna kick the library out. I can't
Yeah,
envision.
well, and so if you want to get into the minutiae of why the term matters to the library board, because this is my estimation, there's a payment that the library board has been making to the city to help defer the insurance costs on the property.
Okay.
Currently, I think we pay $700 or $800 per year property insurance on the old building. The new one's going to be significantly more expensive than that. So we asked the library board to spend 3 years paying us, I think, $600 per year. I had the contract written that after the first 3 years, that would fall off, and we just continue on happily. I think the library board wanted to look at it again in 3 years for some reason. I don't understand it myself, but that's what they requested, so that's how I changed it. They also wanted an option to renew, which is counterintuitive if you're asking for a 3-year contract term. But that's what they wanted, so that's what I wrote. It makes sense from the city's perspective, the way it's written. It's just a little quirky.
Okay.
See, Community Building Development team or Nugent Builders owns the building currently. Once the documents are given, they'll be turned over to the city, and then the city will lease it to the library. That's kind of a chain of custody.
Okay. And I got that, and that was always the intent.
That's it.
What I don't understand, I'm going to have to defer to your expertise. Is this going to, in any way, negatively impact the city?
The only negative aspect I could see is it gives the library board the option of withdrawal in 3 years, which I can't imagine them doing.
They could, in theory, decide they no longer want to lease it.
Sure.
I don't know, go be a library somewhere else.
At which point we would then have a very nice 3-year-old building to put City Hall in. It makes no sense to me that
And
that's
there
how
is
we...
no other building that, I mean, unless they've got a
Okay.
building in their back pocket, we don't know about.
Any other discussion? Mrs.
at least ready to sign in by July? Is that what you were aiming for?
So the library board passed their own version of this, and then wanted some things changed, so I then changed it, and I presented to this board to pass. If you pass this, it will then immediately go back to them to pass, and when we have concurrence on one lease, we can sign it
You
immediately.
need a reconciliation.
You do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you would mention having the signing at the library with the city council? Is that something we're still thinking about?
I've never heard anything about that.
We'll just go through the channel. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Powell.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Nixon.
Yes.
Ms. Conley.
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins. Yes. Mr. Gross.
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes, motion carries. And we'll pass that at the top. Moving on, item E. This is the one you wanted, Mrs. Powell. Mr. Lomax or Ms. Falcon, would you want to speak to this? We found the money. We knew it was there.
Yeah, someone.
This came up at our budget workshop. Where has the money gone? I looked back on balance sheets, income statements. To me, from my interpretation is the money was budgeted, but at the end of the year, it was never reserved, brought down like we did a couple meetings ago and reserved it for a specific project. At this time, there's $178,000 available in the Major Street Fund balance. I'm recommending we take $70,000 of that, keep it in the Major Street Fund, but under, regular fund balance will be one amount, then there will be Critical Bridge Fund, $70,000. We can add to it, take from it every year, with council's approval. And then also in the general fund, I think we should reserve a little bit of that as well. Even if this project isn't done until 2020 with the road, we still need a match for this piece of it.
The bridge.
Yeah, the bridge piece of it. So if we take $70,000 from the Major Street Fund and reserve it, take $55,000 from the general fund, reserve that $55,000 in the general fund, combined we'll have $125,000 available.
Dedicated to the
Dedicated
bridge
to
reconstruction.
the bridge project specifically.
Everybody understand that one?
Yep.
And the bridge will probably cost,
Estimate as of 2015 was $500,000.
that's,
So the bridge is $500,000. The street is $1.2 billion.
no, but I thought
Okay.
the bridge was almost a
I
million.
thought that I was open there. What's that?
No, that was
That was the 500,000 is our 40, it's a 40%?
No,
That's all of it.
our share is the 20% match
of 500.
of $500,000,
Oh,
which is only $100,000, but these are 2015 numbers.
Right.
We're already
But then we're
2017,
there.
it's not gonna be
I mean, we're
2017.
almost there.
we thought that our match for that was 500,000.
I think that's what we thought, yeah.
Well, we'll figure that out.
Oh, well, that's good news.
We're kind of mixing the two projects, the road project and the
No,
bridge project.
I really think we're not.
Okay, I remember it was
Okay.
far more than $500,000 for that bridge.
Well, when the time comes
It is up to
along.
We'll see. Anyway.
I would entertain a motion to approve this
Yes.
if anybody.
Yes.
Oh, I have no second.
Support.
I'm just curious about whether or not we're really sure that this money was put into that fund.
If we have any left over, we can try to
Or
work
was
it
that,
with the road
we're
construction.
just gonna assume that.
Well, it wasn't, there was a revenue line item called, 25,000 reserved for bridge project. But if you look at the actual, no actual 25,000 came in. And then at the end of the year, if the council or the finance director assumed maybe part of the annual Act 51 revenue coming in would be reserved for that, it never got reserved in
And the
fund
fund that-
balance.
The fund that we're taking it out of,
The general
did
fund.
it jump up?
The fund balance went up every year in the major street fund. Yep, up or down based on, operations
But
that
not
year.
necessarily by the implement
No.
we talked about.
Any revenues left over from the bridge reconstruction could be rolled over into the major street.
Yes.
Yeah, reallocated to other projects.
Of
Yep,
course.
that's why we're keeping it in the major street fund.
We
Right.
can start this nest egg moving.
Just, I really thought, like Dan, and I think Rose, that we were gonna be in the hole on this. And so the idea that we will have enough money is just,
Well, that's kind of why I'm only recommending 70,000 of the 178. If you reserve 125,000 of the 178,000, it doesn't leave you much cushion, if we have a bad winter next year and we're plowing more than normal.
makes total sense.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But the final bill is just less than what we thought it was.
I'm just always happy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ms. Falcon, while you're up there, we talked about it, we were, I think, going to withdraw $125,000 from the general fund to make this complete amount. And we were talking, I think it was 42 or 43% of fund balance to annual operating budget. And that removal of $125,000 would take us down to, I think, 35%. Are these numbers sound familiar?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So if we're only removing, 55 or so from the general fund, is that going to keep us up by 38, 39, 40%?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we have a policy to stay above 20%,
Correct.
correct? Right, so we're still fairly healthy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is that an under policy or is that a common policy?
No, that was an actual policy. I remember voting.
I knew it was recommended by the auditor.
No, we
It's
voted
a written policy,
I'm going to call
100%.
for a vote.
a while ago.
I have one more, can I ask one more question?
Mr. Grove?
There's one more question. Did you intentionally cut that one off?
I think you did. I wanted to ask Tom something. Every year we pay like $5,000 to the state to inspect our bridge, to tell us it's the worst bridge in Kent County. We've done that this year?
That's paid to our engineers, actually.
Is it?
But it was done this fiscal year, yeah.
Okay, good. That's just fine.
So they can tell us how awful it is.
My answer is yes.
Mr. Hopkins? Ms. Conlon?
Yes.
Mrs. Nixon?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Hall votes yes.
Thank you for sorting that out.
Yes. Sweet novel.
Item F.
So this is an ordinance that I presented to the planning commission 2 days ago. I must admit, I did it a little bit haste. So it's not a cleaned up version. I will clean it up with the city planner who had some notes for me. It's essentially attempting to make the sign size standards a little bit easier to understand and apply. Currently, the sign standards are you can have a sign up to 10% of the size of your front facade. Well, unfortunately, in our ordinances, it doesn't specify how to measure the front facade, which obviously creates issues. So, what I see other municipalities doing, which I think would make it significantly easier, is promoting the ability to have 1 square or 7/10 of a square, however many square feet, per linear foot of the front of your store. Okay? So, you can take a measurement from one side of your building to the other side of your building on the ground. So it doesn't require a hoist, it doesn't require a ladder. And then you can have 1 square foot for that distance. Makes it significantly easier to measure, easier to understand.
What it amounts to is you measure the face front, and that's the way this ordinance will read. The old one reads you must go the face front plus the height of the facade, and then it amounts to 1 foot, plus or minus.
Yes, the measurements are going to be virtually identical. It's easier to do it.
Get the sign that's under so many square feet. So, this just simplifies, it makes it a lot easier for the planning commission and everyone.
Sounds good to me. Does the planning commission like it?
Yep, we heard.
Yes,
Okay.
they did.
As long as the planning commission likes it.
Because it is an ordinance, this is first reading, and I'll bring it back to planning commission, I believe, for a public hearing at their next meeting, and then you guys can vote on it.
This would be a motion to approve the first reading of the significant sign ordinance change of 40-545. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
We have to motion for a first read?
For an ordinance, yeah.
Oh,
First reading.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Groves?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Nix?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes. Motion carried. Moving on to item G. Mr. Womack.
So this is a pretty significant change for the MU district. Again, I don't know what happened before I came on board, but the MU district, as far as I'm concerned, has been hobbled. Under the table of uses, there are very few, I think 2 permitted uses. From what I understand, the west side of the White Pine Trail, which is now in the MU district, previously was industrial. I think eventually, and that's not part of this, but I think eventually that will revert back to industrial. What this is doing is increasing the number of permitted uses and increasing the number of special land uses in that district. This was specifically prompted by a company that wants to come into town, wants to open up a good viable business, but the ordinances wouldn't permit it in the building, which would have been ideal for the business. So I think this is another one that the planning commission was eager for. And I believe the city planner is also in agreement on this. So I would ask you to do a first reading.
I would entertain a motion to that effect for discussion on that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, been moved to second. Discussion. This building in question we're talking about is the old Van Plumbing building. There's a painting contractor and they did paint the inside of the library. This company wants to move to town, and because of the mixed-use category that's in there, it's not allowed. There's several buildings in that area that non-conforming for anyone to get a small incubator business or anything like that. Mr. Hopkins, you want to add anything to that? Here on that.
Well, it's just a matter of making it easier for things that make sense. Some of them are special land uses, so it's not just go ahead and move in. It's, explain your situation. If it makes sense, it makes sense, and they can go in.
Any further discussion?
I just appreciate the planning commission and the city manager and the planner working to try to make us more business friendly regarding this. I know that's been a request of our citizens for a while. And I feel like this is some really concrete evidence of efforts to make that happen. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Hearing no further discussion, on roll call vote. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Groves?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Ms. Nixon?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Hall votes yes, motion carried. Item H, Mr. Womack.
I don't really want to get into the guts of this one, but the end result is me personally, will be spending an extra $700 a year for my health insurance through the city. It's to come in a conformity with some state laws. Just talking to you, anything you'd like to add to that?
If you have questions, I can answer questions if you.
I have a motion, so we can end the discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the Michigan Department of Treasury PA 152 medical benefit plan annual cost limitation amounts, which will increase the employee cost of 2-person coverage to $135 biweekly and family coverage to $139 biweekly.
Second.
Any discussion?
So this is coming into compliance with what the state requires?
I believe so.
Yeah, this EVIP, Economic Vitality Incentive Program, it's a report we have to prepare every year and update. Back in 2013, there was 3 reports that you had to do. Employee compensation plan was one of them, and how you cooperated with your neighbors and plans and all that kind of stuff. So PA 152 is still on the books for the cities that chose either the hard cap or 80/20. Cedar Springs chose the hard cap. So every year, Michigan Department of Treasury puts out a dollar amount. The city cannot pay more than X if you are a single person on a health plan, 2-person and family. So our new health insurance, we're under Western Michigan Health Insurance Plan. It's a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. July 1, our rates are going up, an average of about 6%. That's pretty good. I know a lot of companies
So, yeah,
double
it's
digits.
actually
So the 2-person in the family amounts are going to throw us over that,
hard cap.
the hard cap. So for the 2-person, we currently pay $100 biweekly. That will go to $135. And the people with family plans currently pay $125 biweekly. That'll go up to $139. The other option is we can tweak the plan a little bit to bring the premium down. I think the plan we have is pretty good. So,
Any further discussion?
Is that the 135 and 139, is that the portion the city pays or the portion?
employee pays.
That's their copay, their
Mhm.
premium. I shouldn't say copay, premium.
The
Yep,
city
that's not-
pays for a family plan $17,627 a year. 2-person is $14,000 or $13,000.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, may I ask one question?
I agree.
Do you feel like you're covered okay?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, I just,
We appreciate that.
it's a thing that matters to me.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know that our people have health care. It's expensive. I get it.
Right, but part of retaining good employees is providing good insurance.
Yeah.
So if our insurance isn't good, we need to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I would want you to tell me.
I pull in with the Western Michigan Health Insurance Plan.
Right.
It's putting a lot of
Sure.
companies together, keeping our rates down. That's a good thing.
Teachers do something similar.
Yeah.
Future. Thank you. So, have a roll call vote. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Grove?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Nixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Hall votes yes, the motion carries. Item I, Mr. Wolverine.
Let me just bring it up real quick.
If we
This is something I've been working on with Sergeant Kelly. As you recall, as part of the budget discussion, we increased the penalty for a parking ticket from $10 to $20. So there's 2 things going on in this ordinance change. You'll see the very first part, a civil fine of not more than $100. That's not actually increasing the fine in any way, that's increasing the cap by which a fine could be increased to. So it's currently 20. This would increase it up to 100. And the only reason I did that is because there is a conflict in the ordinances, whereby there's another place in the ordinances where it already says 100 is the max. So we're just bringing that into conformity. The second and probably more important thing is the ability for the Sheriff's Department to impound or immobilize a vehicle. And this is being requested due to certain citizens who refuse to move their cars and don't pay their parking tickets. So the way it's written, a vehicle would have to have 4 unpaid parking tickets. And at that point, the sheriff would be able and authorized to either immobilize or impound the vehicle. We do have a car boot in the back that we could utilize if necessary. We certainly don't want to do that, but it's giving the sheriff an additional tool to fight this problem. And as Mr. Hall can probably tell you, it's primarily aimed at snow days, and if you don't move your car, it really makes it difficult for the DPW to do their snow removal, which can be a safety issue.
And just to be clear, we're talking about in public parking.
Correct. It very specifically says you cannot enforce this on private property.
have a motion for discussion, or?
I don't really,
Are you making a motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion.
Second. We moved in second, discussion.
Okay, I don't see, if the cars are out in the way, in the way of the snow plows, what's the point in mobilizing them? I think they should be towed immediately.
I can't, this gives them the lecture.
This would give them the authority to do that.
Yeah, but it wouldn't make sense to, put the immobilizer.